Hey guys, I read Verne Harnish's book, which is called Mastering Rockefeller Habits, What You Must Do to Increase the Value of Your Growing Firm. So I'm going to go through the main principles of the book, then I'm going to go through 7 things that I found quite interesting within the book, and then finally I'm going to go through a couple of quick action tips that I've taken away from the book that I'm going to try and, I already have started implementing in my own company, so maybe you can implement them in yours or, add them into the place that you work. So in general, summary of the book is that in order to handle the barriers of growing a company, we need to make sure that we're on the right track. And to be on the right track, you essentially need to make sure your priorities are in order, that you are measuring and have the right data sets to ensure that you're actually growing in the way that's best for your company. And third and final is that your company has rhythm. And so priorities, data, and rhythm are the 3 areas that Harnish really focuses on. For priorities, he talks about having like a top 5 priorities for the year, and one big priority at the top that everyone's working towards, making sure that everyone within a company their goals are in alignment with those priorities. The second point was around data, making sure that on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual basis, that you are measuring the right kind of metrics within your own business to make sure that you're on track to grow quickly. Or just to grow well in the way that's right for you. And third, of course, is rhythm. So does your organization have an effective rhythm that's driving it forward every single day? And is that rhythm kind of driving the alignment and the accountability that you need it to? So those are the 3 main areas, right? Priorities, data, and rhythm. And as a company grows, Harnish suggests that you really need to make sure that you're developing the systems, structures, and processes to handle the complexity of that growth, in order to make sure that as your offering, it is elevated, and you're growing, that you're able to meet the increasing challenges of being a bigger player within your market, or just raising your game into a whole new market. So that's the main gist of the book. I hope I did that half an ounce of justice. Part 2, here we go, is talking about a couple areas in more detail. So for the priorities, I think that it was really interesting to hear about how Harnish wants to make sure that those priorities are very clear to the wider team and the wider business. So, having the priorities up on a wall, making sure that everyone knows what they are, that they are being reminded, they are being, told to the staff and team and employees constantly. That's really important to make sure that it's really kind of drilled into people's heads, essentially. And of course, I think that one thing that I learned is that I need to make sure that our company vision is clear and that it captures why we come to work every day, because we definitely have a great kind of team going on, but I don't know the wording for it as to like, why are we doing this? Why do we work so hard? It's not quite right yet, so I'm working on it. The second point that I found of interest was around Vernish's kind of second area, which is the data and measurement. So he talked about SMART numbers, which are key metrics within a business to be measured over an extended period of time. So making sure you have the right SMART numbers. And then he also talked about critical numbers. And so critical numbers are more short-term, laser-focused numbers that are updated daily or weekly, so that you can really understand, like, okay, so how is this going this week? And boop, that one number gives you a definitive answer as to how well something's going. Again, just make sure that these numbers are highly visible. That's mega important. The third area, of course, in a little more detail, is going to be rhythm, because it was the third principle. So when I was young, I went to a couple of trading desks and trading floors in different investment banks, and you'd get there and it was like, damn, like these people are on the ball. And so I just love that sort of feeling that I felt when I went into those the giant rooms of desks. And I think that Harnish really is focusing on making sure that every business has that rhythm to it that propels it forward with growth. So He also said that for the different types of meetings that you have, be them weekly, monthly, etc., that there are different there are different charts or different charts that are tracking progress for those different meetings. So one thing you can do is just use a Flipboard chart. So if you're having a monthly board meeting or a quarterly board meeting, literally, if there's someone, writing the notes, get it all in the flip chart, etc. Or if you're doing a weekly check-in meeting with a specific team, write down the main points from that meeting. What are the actions? And then come back to them the next week. Having a material item that has the chart of that progress through time is really key. Another point about meetings that I found interesting was that all meetings should be short and punchy in structure with very clear agendas and time limits. And this is the part I loved. There should be a meeting host, someone who is naturally quite structured and disciplined. I realized that for every meeting I've pretty much ever been in, I am that person that's just making sure that we're keeping on the right track and we're completing what we need to in the allotted amount of time and not running over into these fluffy conversations that don't actually have any actions at the end. The next point I found interesting was about processes. So within my company, we work really hard to make sure that we have top quality processes and, the right kind of documents so that every client receives the same top tier level of service. Harnish says that systems and structure are the logical response to complexity as your company grows exponentially. And couldn't agree more. Point 5 that I found of interest was about instilling a culture of discipline. And I love this quote from a CEO who was interviewed for the book. He said, "Routine sets you free. I don't love structure. It's just what I have to do if I want to do all the things that I want to do." And so I really found that interesting. Compared to other marketing agencies, definitely we are very disciplined. And my little inner army officer just loves that because, we've got a system, we're sticking to it, and, we're all at work on time. Things that within a kind of trendy East London millennial-led environment are a bit, unusual. I absolutely love them. Let's see. The next point was about senior teams. So one thing that Harnish said was that the strengths or weaknesses that exist within an organization can be traced right back to the cohesion of the executive team and their levels of trust, competence, discipline, alignment, and respect. Again, those are so key. I'm going to say them again. Trust, competence, discipline, alignment, and respect. So if you don't have those things in your senior team, then you either should leave your business or get a new senior team, because without those 5 elements, you cannot move ahead in alignment, essentially. Another thing that Harnish really focused on was that effective leaders within a business have the abilities to predict and to delegate. And when I think about our senior team in my business, that's definitely something that we're good at predicting, and I think that we could all get a little bit better at delegating. But predicting and delegating. I was like, wow, maybe that's one of the things I'm actually kind of good at, is predicting what's going to go wrong and making sure that we veer away from it and do the right thing. And Harnish also talked about A players within an organization and how A players make a world of difference. One great A player is worth at least 2 Bs, maybe 5 Bs, and you could have 10 or 11 Cs and it's not going to make a difference. So I think that also speaks to the quote, hire slowly, fire quickly. Just making sure that you have the right people on your team is just going to make your life so much better. The last point that I really enjoyed from the book was about Harnish's parallels between raising kids and having a company. So I'm going to read a quote about that. Having a few rules, repeating yourself a lot, and acting in ways that are consistent with those rules, these are the 3 keys whether you're providing your children with a good moral foundation or providing a company with a strong cultural foundation. A strong culture driven by a handful of rules or core values makes leading people much easier, reducing the need for stacks of policies and procedures. gives everyone a foundation from which to make tough decisions and generally bring simplicity and clarity. I just love that quote. It's so spot on. And I think as I see within my own business, as our culture has drastically improved, it's completely true. You can trust people to do the right thing because you know they're on the same page as you. So yeah, I really enjoyed that quote. Let's see. Oh, from a CEO. This is another CEO quote that I thought was really good. 99% of my effort goes into keeping core values alive with existing employees and inculcating new employees and acquisitions as they join the firm with these same values. So I think that's so funny because you're literally just repeating yourself constantly about, this is what we stand for, this is how we deliver, and this is why we are the way we are. And if you can get that across to everyone, then that's amazing. So a couple of things that I've actioned within my own business from the book. Number one is celebrating success. So I typically really struggle with taking a step back, pausing, and appreciating. I'm always like, okay, we've hit this. Now on to the next piece. I just want to keep climbing. So actually celebrating success is really important. So we've started doing that a bit more within my business. Another area is eradicating barriers for your team. So I printed out a sheet that said, what are the top 10 things that make your job a hassle? I gave it out to everybody on a Monday, and on the Thursday evening, I had a list of tons of things that we could improve within the business to make people's lives easier. So they included everything from like the air conditioning is broken and sometimes it gets really cold in the winter, all the way to new ideas for how we could formulate statements of work to make sure that our projects are on budget, in time, etc. So yeah, got a lot of great ideas from that. Eating with the team. So apparently J.D. Rockefeller himself would sit down and eat every day with his senior team, eat lunch with them. And it was just like a really good way to, bond with the team, etc. And so I sit with the team for like a group lunch, but I thought, hey, why not like start doing more one-on-one lunches with people? So I started that last week and I absolutely love it. So I'm going to keep on doing one-on-one lunches with peeps, assuming they want to go to lunch with me. And then, of course, last but not least is to another action point that I've taken on board is kind of enlivening the culture of my company with kind of more of a history of where we've come from, and also creating great case studies about situations people within our business have been in and what they did and how that represents like the way we do things. So yeah, I'm excited to do that as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Remember, priorities, data, and rhythm. Those are the three main points. If you have any questions, tweet me at Chelsea Blacker, or put a comment below if anyone has even watched this video. Yeah, let me know if you liked it. Okay, thanks. Bye.